Sue Escobar says, I've heard a recent analysis of these riots, the statements on masks, etc., in terms of the Stanford prison experiment, obedience to authority. This is a big experiment to see the human reaction. Thoughts? I I think the Stanford prison experiment is very interesting. I haven't heard the analysis you're talking about, but I want to read this now because I do think this is whether there's some agency or something in the deep state who's consciously saying, let's try this out as an experiment. I don't know if that's true, but I know that the way it's functioning, just like our disagreement earlier about regulations and laws, so it's like regulations are no different than laws and how they're carried out and enforced. Well, whether there's somebody pulling strings and saying we're going to do an experiment or not, this is an experiment. You don't have to have someone consciously saying, let's do an experiment for it to be an experiment. We are witnessing the results of this kind of experiment. We're witnessing, look at all these videos that are being posted every day where you see people behaving in horrible ways. It's bringing out the worst parts of ourselves, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're interested in obedience to authority, you might want to go watch the book club discussion we had because we did read Ordinary Men, which was about that. By the way, welcome Sue Escobar. She's a new subscriber. But Also read about the Milgram experiment. Stanley Milgram has a book about the Milgram experiment, and it's pretty eye-opening. It's a quick read, and he walks through. At the risk of using a pun, it's shocking.
Oh, but
Yeah, I know. But it's really interesting how far people will go, and he studies what's necessary for people to listen to obey authority and what's not, like how willing they are to do bad things to other people, depending on what's the justification. And so it's quite interesting. So if you're not familiar with the Milgram experiment, absolutely read that one too. Okay, Channel Julio, you want to read that one?
one quick note on that though.
Oh,
I did read an article recently. I'll have to try and find it so we can put it in the notes on this video. But Sue, I did read an article recently about a couple of studies done about mask wearing, and that was interesting because it told us what common sense would dictate anyway. But it told us that two different studies, one they did with children and wearing Halloween masks versus not wearing masks, and they showed that children who were wearing the masks were like 60% more likely to disobey the rules on how much candy to take. And would it make sense? You're anonymous, right? And they did another study where they had people do embarrassing things, hold embarrassing signs on a street corner, and they would pay them a certain amount of money if they would hold this humiliating thing. And they found that if they were wearing a mask, they could pay them a lot less money to get them to do the humiliating behavior. That also is common sense. It's almost like how on the internet is a kind of mask, and people behave in much worse ways online, in ways that they would not do person to person. And I would say they also engage in some humiliating behavior that they would never want anyone to see them behaving in.
Yeah, and that comports with Milgram experiments too, where people were more vicious if they were not seen and seeing the person they were hurting, right? But the more closer and more personal it got, the less they were willing to inflict pain. Someone said in chat, I read that the study was debunked, but I'm not sure what the details were. I've not read that it's been debunked, and having read the book, which includes the study, I don't know how you debunk it. They did some things. I mean, unless it turns out like this was all a big lie. I don't think it can be debunked. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I'm sick of people saying that study's been debunked. A lot of things are crappy studies. I get it, but I need more information than just like that's been debunked. The left loves to say that about stuff they don't like.
Not that the person saying that was on the left. It's just
No, but
yeah.
I don't know. I can't imagine, having read it, I can't imagine how one would debunk it. It's not that complex of a study, so whatever. But I mean, I think it also comports with what we see in real world situations. So like, it's not surprising results it's been like that. Those results have generally been replicated. So